Hello everyone and welcome to our Game Week 5 preview show. I'm Chris and Kieran is here too. How are you today, Geek?
Yeah, all good, thank you. How are you?
Good, yeah, I'm alright. I'm looking forward to getting back to football this weekend after the international break. It feels like it's been long.
Absolutely, yeah.
So just quickly, for anyone that's new, hi, thanks for joining us. If you've got any questions, pop them in the chat as we go along. We'll try and get to as many as possible. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button as we try and boost those numbers this season. So we're going to jump straight into it. We're going to quickly look back at Game Week 4 before talking about sort of the main issues heading into Game Week 5. So we'll bring up our 2 points. Keek, it feels like a long time ago, but you scored 78. Do you remember much about last game week?
Not really. A few hat tricks. I went begging in my team, but obviously got Holland, but that was fine. So I scored 78, which was enough for a small green from 266k to 254. So it's a green, but it's not it's not much of one. So I was dreading Estepinian's clean sheet that looked like nailed on towards the end. I just didn't think that was going to happen. I didn't think Newcastle wouldn't score, and then obviously they did in the end. So thank God for that.
It was like the 93rd minute or something. Lost like 5 points in the last minute of the match.
Exactly. Yeah. Ugh. So overall fine. But happy to start cracking again this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I scored 72, which I'm trying to work out why we were different. Maybe you doggy got some points, and Odegaard returned as well. Actually, didn't he? Scored in that game, and Matoma and I don't know, Chilwell or Cole just didn't score very well, as well as that Estupiñán losing that cleaner. But yeah, we were quite close, and as we'll get to in a minute, I've played the wild card, which to be honest, I feel like why it's been 2 weeks of me thinking, I just don't want any more FPL stress. Like I felt like most of the summer I was thinking about Game Week 1 team, and now I'm already thinking about Game Week 5 team. But anyway, we'll get onto that a bit later. Let's jump into talking about the main topics of this week. I think the one to dive in on straight away is probably Son. Do you think he's had the most transfers in this week? He's on the back of that hat-trick. Obviously a lot of interest in him this week, and especially as well considering it seems like, well, he's maybe just lost Richarlison. Richarlison came out after that Brazil game. I don't know if you saw that, and said he's not that happy on the pitch at the moment.
Yeah.
Looking forward to going back to Spurs. Looking forward to going back to Spurs. They played so well without him. What's your sort of initial thoughts on Son and Tottenham before we even sort of jump into some of the stats?
Well, before the Richarlison thing, I thought maybe Richarlison would come back in because he scored for Brazil. Just thought maybe it was just a one-off. It was just a different setup for a different team. So I don't know. Yeah, it really depends on Son's position, but considering that Richarlison has come up with this, sounds like he's probably going to take a bit of time to get ready in a sort of match shape, I suppose, with his mind and everything. Son looks like he's going to be good again, but people sort of, I guess Sheffield United are going to be more prepared for it because they'll probably expect it. I guess we'll see. Obviously, he's a good option. I don't think I can get there myself, but he's probably going to haul. So.
Well, he's an interesting pick for me because his ownership is still relatively low. I think despite all those transfers in, he's only at like 10 or 11% as we record this. I'm sure it looks like maybe he might go up again before the weekend, and I think a lot of people probably see that Sheffield United fixture and think, I think their next fixtures are a mix. We spoke about this when we both got Maddison in because we wanted Maddison for at least Burnley, Sheffield United before they play away against Arsenal and then home against Liverpool.
Yeah.
After that, it gets good again. Games against Luton, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Chelsea. So long-term fixtures are good. I suppose, I'll be honest, on the wild card, he's not really someone I've considered mainly just because of those.
Oh, you haven't even got him on wild card? Wow.
Well, I've got him on wild card to get hopefully the price rises out of him. But I'm not sure if I want him long-term. Like I quite like Maddison's price at the moment, and I think just the consistency he looks like he'll offer versus Son is good. I mean, having a look at Son's position, I imagine if Richarlison gets fit, there's an option that he plays back wide again, and I can't imagine Richarlison's going to stay on the bench all season. At least we know with Maddison, like his position is like that number 10 position, and he's going to be there. I mean, if you compare how Son played in game weeks 1 to 3, right? So he had 3 shots in the box in that time and 24 touches in the box. So that's roughly average 7 per game. So he was wide. He wasn't getting in the box as much. Against Burnley,
Yep.
He had 4 shots in the box, so one more than he'd managed in the previous 3 games combined, and he had 18 touches in the box, which is only 6 fewer than all of the collective ones from the first 3 games. So I mean, the stats kind of show that really when he was wide, he wasn't worth anywhere near that 9 million price tag. And I kind of think if he hadn't have scored obviously the hat trick is why people are interested in him, but if he hadn't have played there against Burnley and Richarlison had been fit, then I don't think we'd be talking about him as much. I just think, it's a classic. He scored a hat trick and is a bit of a bandwagon forming, but a bit like Sterling the week before, perhaps, and maybe even the Jackson like the week before that. I think I'd want to see like more that he's playing in that position full time, and then also it's not as if like the next 3 fixtures, while Sheffield United's good, the 2 after that are not necessarily like Hull fixtures.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine. So you're preaching sort of hesitancy again.
Definitely, yeah.
I imagine a lot of people are probably going to be interested in like maybe even taking hits for him. Would you assume you'd say no to that?
Yeah, I think. Well, it depends who you've got in your team. I kind of if you've got Maddison, I wouldn't be so keen on the double up. I mean, so far this season, right? You and I, speaking from experience, you've had double Arsenal, and we've both had double United. Would you say that, and in easier fixtures and what's projected for Spurs now, who we still don't know like that much about, they've had like some good fixtures to start the season. Do you think they're more worthy of investing a double up in those 2 than Rashford and Bruno have been, or Odegaard and Saka have been? How's that for a question?
Well, I mean, they've scored the second most goals so far, so I guess that's something.
Yeah.
I think they've got the 4th best team XG. So this one looks like it's primed for a haul, I guess. Yeah, tough. I mean, even the Arsenal. Yeah, I am. The Arsenal and Liverpool games probably not that bad either, because Son is usually sort of pitches as sort of like a counter-attacking.
Yeah.
And he's good on the sort of when he's going to get loads of spaces against the better teams. So.
And they played well against United at home, I suppose, if I was going to back your argument on that. So it's not as if they've got any like Big Six complex already. Like they played their own game in that game.
Yeah, I think if you have him or you're guessing him, I don't think the Arsenal and Liverpool is that much of an issue to put you off, personally.
Would you do the double up with Maddison then? If you, I mean,
well, I hadn't really considered it, but I could just do a Rashford or even an Odegaard to him just straight up. I could do that
and have double. Yeah, it's interesting. Should we? Sorry, go on.
It just feels like I probably have another issue, or maybe I want to just roll rather than doing that so short term. Maybe it's just you can go for the double up from Luton, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Chelsea from after the next 2.
Yeah.
So maybe there. Yeah.
Well, do we want to jump it from talking about that to talking a little bit about Rashford, because obviously whilst playing the wild card, I've sort of allocated one spot for a United player, and I have like a 9 million fit there, which obviously could be Son, it could be Rashford, it could be Bruno.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's obviously watching the highlights of that game against Arsenal. Rashford scored. Hoyen came on in the second half. Rashford's been playing back on the left. I think it's difficult. I've gone off the United double up simply because I think it's a lot of money to invest in a team whose attacking numbers haven't been that great, and they've got a lot of off the field issues at the moment, which might have an impact. I don't know. Where are you sitting on Rashford at the minute?
I'm going to keep him. I think their fixtures are good. So Brighton obviously at home, Burnley away, Crystal Palace or at home, Brentford at home, Sheffield United away, and then Man City obviously not great, but then Fulham, and then after that they got Luton after that, they got Everton after that. So the fixtures, like there's probably 2 toughish fixtures in there, especially for defense, I suppose. So I like keeping him. Like, I mean, I feel like Bruno is going to be good as well, because I think he got like 1 goal, like 4 assists for Portugal or something.
He was a beast in that Luxembourg game.
Yeah, I just feel like he's going to start to pick up as well. But the offside or the off-field issues is possibly an issue. But I don't feel it'll affect Bruno, and maybe it'll affect Rashford because he is friends with Sancho. But
I think there's just a lot of uncertainty as well with the defence. Like they've got so many players out injured in that position, and you kind of think the confidence in the team builds up from the start. I really want to back a United midfielder, but I'm only going to potentially do one on this wild card. Just think
that, I don't think that's fair.
I just think at the moment they're not. What we've seen in the first 4 game weeks, they're not at the point at the moment of beating teams by 3 or 4 goals. Like that Nottingham Forest game was obviously the only game where they've scored more than 1 goal, and that was obviously due in part to them getting a penalty and Forest going down to 10 men. So yeah, I don't know if we can rely on for like big hauls yet. I don't know.
Brighton's defence is terrible. Yeah, so let's just
I kind of think Brighton will like get a result in this game.
I think it's going to be like a 2-2, something like that. Yeah, quite high scoring personally. Okay. I think Højlund, assuming he's still fit, should help the team. I'm interested to see what Rashford's role is going to be with Højlund. And obviously the Sancho thing, and then Anthony, his thing as well.
No, he's not going to be in the team.
So who's going to be playing on the right?
Like Pellistri, maybe?
People think he might get there, but I feel like Ten Hag probably won't trust him. So I feel like Rashford might end up on the right,
do you think?
which would be not good for him.
No.
But yeah, so Garnacho is obviously the clear first one to come in the team usually. So he'll play on the left. I assume Rashford possibly on the right.
Or in the middle, which I think sort of like degrades Rashford's output again. That's why I think it's so difficult to pick on him. And their fixtures, you're right, are like too good to ignore. But then it's difficult to sort of decide on either Bruno or Rashford. Bruno's like underlying numbers this season have been fantastic, like across the board. Rashford's like leading all midfielders for shots in the box so far this season, but he's just not been converting. And at some point, he's going to start putting the chances away and maybe go on a run like he did last season. So, yeah, picking between both of them across these fixtures is not easy. Who, if I had to put you on the spot to pick one, or pick one to keep?
I don't know. Probably Rashford, I guess, because he's the better goal threat in just open play, I suppose.
Yeah.
But on Rashford, so he's had 1 goal, 2 assists. So he's had 3 returns in 2 games since moving to the left. So yeah, XG of 1.65, XA of 0.85, which is pretty good. 3 big chances, 5 key passes, 1 big chance created. And then I did a sort of comparison from game week 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 for his sort of through the middles, through the on the left. So his touches was 72 through the middle versus 79 on the left. Touches in the box was 15 versus 14. Shots 7 versus 7. Big chances 2 versus 1, which probably makes sense for being through the middle. An XG of 0.97 versus 0.68, so the XG's gone down, which probably makes sense again. Key passes 3 versus 2, and a big chances created 0 versus 1. So really, there isn't much difference in the stats at all. So, for me, maybe it's just like kind of a mental thing for Rashford, like he just prefers the left side, or it's kind of like a over-exaggerated sort of narrative / coincidence that he's gotten more returns on the left. Like maybe we shouldn't think too much into it. He's just going to get returns from wherever eventually. So, I'm keen to sort of like look at that again if he's going to keep playing on the left and with Højlund through the middle, see if he sort of racks up the returns on the left. We'll see.
Yeah, no, okay, that's quite interesting. Yeah, I would have expected a bigger divide really in those numbers. So yeah,
it may have been better to take stats from like last season, so bigger sample size, but just going off this season, it hasn't really affected his game at all.
And I think it's going to be different this season anyway, but maybe in like the future, just because of if they bring like Højlund in and starts more through the middle. Obviously Martial drops out, and even like you say, if he's playing on the right to accommodate Pellistri, so yeah, or Garnacho, so yeah, it could all change.
Yep.
All right. So who should we pick up on next? We want to talk about Alvarez. I think he's the second highest player being brought in.
Sure. Yeah. So 6.7 million now. 14% owned. That was I made these notes probably like 4 days ago, so it's probably gone up by now. Second highest scoring forward with 28 points in the game, only behind obviously Haaland. Next 3 fixtures are still really good for City: of West Ham away, Nottingham Forest at home, and Wolves away. However, the 3 after that are Arsenal away, Brighton at home, and Man United away. But they're obviously pretty good fixtures just for City in general. They'll probably score against anyone. So, I don't think I'll be put off against, because we know sort of Brighton's defense is pretty bad. United's is pretty piss poor with injuries and stuff. So, even Arsenal could be scored against like I think Arsenal have the second best XGC of the teams, but City have scored against them a lot in the past. So Alvarez 2 goals, 3 assists so far. Shots of 14, which is 5th of all strikers. XG of 1.88. XA of 0.7, big chances of 3, key passes of 12, which is first, which is nice. Big chances created of 0. So the stats for me, they're not exactly leaping off the page. They're not like amazing, but you just know, like kind of at the end of last season, I had him as well. He just, whenever he's on the pitch, he's involved in something. So beside like Haaland and Watkins, there aren't really any good strikers. There is probably Haaland, Watkins, Alvarez, and Jackson, I guess, when Jackson hits a bit of form, I suppose. And then apart from that, there's basically nothing.
Yeah,
I guess there's Isaac, but there's stuff
rotation
on him.
risk there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just to note on him, if you're looking to bring him in, he did play his last international game, or is going to play like a couple of days before the deadline, and it's a very high altitude in Bolivia, I believe. There could be a chance of seeing him benched and come on around the 60 mark. There's something to be sort of wary of, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm surprised he'd played so many minutes in the first 4 games. Like, I think he's only missed 1 minute, had 3 90s and 89 minutes. So he's obviously more important this season. I don't know. I know you've got Jackson at the moment. Let's say you had a free transfer ready to burn there. How much priority would you have on getting him as like your main second striker? Because he's obviously easy for me to get to on the wild card, and I've had him in again since the start because he's probably likely to get a price rise. But like, I've never really thought about sticking with him, and I don't really know why. Like you say, the stats weren't exactly leaping off the page to me, but then he's like a forward in City's lineup, and he hasn't missed a minute yet, which probably means he's going to get benched in the next 4. No, Pep.
Yeah, the next 3 are good enough. But like I said, it's just after the international thing, maybe he sees reduced minutes this week, but I imagine he'll probably come back in. And then, but they do have Doku sort of in the side now. Bernardo should be ready to go. Grealish is there still. So someone is going to start to see reduced minutes out of Foden and Alvarez, I would guess. We'll see. No,
fair enough. Yeah, I'm still not, even though I've had him, like I say, I'm still not convinced I want to keep him. Then the striker pool at the moment is so poor. I feel like even Alvarez is like we know just because it's City, just like a rotation risk, and not all your eggs in the City basket because he's done so well, but it's because you've got Haaland as well. I mean, who are really like they passing to in the most of the time they're going to be trying to pass to Haaland to score. So yeah, he's an interesting one for sure. I kind of like the idea of having a striker who's like the main focal point of the team, and maybe Alvarez isn't.
I think in terms of striker sort of pool, it is going to start to open up, I think, because there is going to be Newcastle options.
Definitely.
Morris, as we'll talk about in a bit, is going to be an option, and even Højlund coming into United. United's fixtures are good, and if he can be fit and be the main focal point, like he could be an option. Like he's going to be so low owned.
Yeah.
Massive differential, I feel like, if anyone wants to go there.
Yeah. Or should we talk about more strikers then? Because just on that theme, and it'd be interesting to see if people in the comments or in the chat right now who makes up basically their forward line, because I kind of feel like it is a dearth of options there. I mean, Isaac is probably someone to mention simply because, well, after game week 1, we know he was the most transferred in player. They battered Aston Villa at home on the opening weekend, and he shot up in price. I think he was like 7.7 million or 7.7 million by game week 2, even though he had those absolutely ridiculous fixtures. I mean, his ownership has stayed high. He's 27%. And it's now the time that Newcastle have got a great fixture run. Brentford, Sheffield United, Burnley, West Ham, Crystal Palace, Wolves. He's started in all 4 of the games, and we know from the past that Wilson's fitness history has not been great. So maybe the start of this season has shown that Isaac is happy to be Howe's first, or Isaac is Howe's first choice, and Wilson at the moment, perhaps until Champions League comes around, is coming off the bench for 20 to 25 minutes to make an impact, because Isaac's never hitting a full 90 so far this season. So yeah, he's definitely an interesting one because of fixtures. His stats are not great per 90, so his shots in the box down at 1.9 over 90, which is 16th of all strikers. That's not great. I mean, I suppose the caveat to that is they have had those tougher fixtures, and them as a team, Newcastle team, sit mid-table for XG after the first 4. think I don't know if you agree, but he's probably a bit of a gamble considering his price and his lack of minutes, but maybe it's a risk worth taking for people who are looking to target fixtures over or before form, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was burnt by the Isaac versus Wilson sort of thing last season. You just don't know. Like, I feel like it's like Wilson has been coming on and doing well. Like, it's only so long he can just keep being sort of happy being benched or whatever. Like, he's probably due a start and probably deserves it. So it's just if they're going to play together, which has happened obviously, but it seems like Howe is going for one or the other at the moment. So I feel like I'd probably want to avoid it, but if you're on a wild card, which you obviously are, and others, you probably do want to go there just because of the fixtures, and obviously they've been historically really good attacking wise, especially on the first day when we thought they'd be incredible attacking wise. So I guess it's a spoiler. Do you have him?
No, I don't. I don't. I've looked at him quite a lot of times. I just think for his price, 7.7 million, I feel like there's probably a better. I think I'd rather have, like I had at the start of the season, I'd rather have Watkins for like that 0.3 more. And then if you're looking at what fantastic options we've got in midfield this season, like the value doesn't seem there. Like when you see players like Mwembo, who's definitely on pens, 90 minutes in a decent Brentford team, who they're obviously playing this weekend. Someone like Maddison, who's I think now 0.1 more expensive. I know I'm comparing midfield to striker options, but yeah, he's not too far sort of outscoring players like Edouard, Solanke, who are obviously coming in cheaper than him. And I know we've got a small sample size, but there's maybe strikers that, like we said a minute ago, that are going to emerge this season who haven't been good FPL picks in the past. We haven't talked about Awani, but I haven't really done any notes on him. I don't know how you pronounce him, but he's been a beast so far this season. You know he's going to play most games for Forest, and he's probably going to get more minutes on average than that Isaac. And so, yeah, I think the fixtures are there if you want to take a punt on him. But yeah, I think he's worth mentioning now just because we're coming back into a block after an international break.
Yeah, just on a 1 year, I just even though he's going to keep scoring, I still just don't want to pick him.
I know, right?
It's he plays for Forest, he's gonna go on a run of being crap. So
yeah,
it's incoming, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely. Well, do we want to talk about other strikers who might be crap as well? I mean, people are posting in the chat about their players, saying Spanner says he's got Alvarez, Haaland, and Jackson, which is quite a nice attacking trio, I suppose. Players that have got points.
Yeah, nice.
And again, saying want to find Watkins. I just think at the moment doing this wildcard, I haven't once switched to 3-4-3 again, just because I don't trust another two strikers with Haaland. But anyway, let's get your opinion on Morris, because obviously it got announced over the double game or over the international break. Luton have got a double game week. They've got a great run of fixtures now. Fulham away, Wolves at home, and then they've got this double game week of Everton, Burnley in game week 7 before they play Tottenham at home and Forest away. So the next bank of 6 fixtures across 5 game weeks are not bad. And I know Luton have been pretty poor, but when I was having a look at trying to do wildcard drafts, they've had 3 rough games to start the season. So they've obviously played Brighton, who have made it into Europe. They played Chelsea away, which is obviously going to be daunting, and they played a West Ham side and obviously lost 2-1, but they got battered in that game from the stats. But West Ham, who obviously won a European competition last season, have had an absolute fly because they're second this season. So I think it's difficult to judge how they have been against those teams. Whereas, I don't know if you'd agree with me, but Fulham, Wolves, Everton, Burnley and Forest are probably teams that are going to finish in the bottom 6 to 8 teams in the league this season, probably based on what we've seen. So these are games where they're going to pick up points. And looking at Morris's stats, he's actually got because I've been trying to work out what my best defensive lineup is. I mean, Chilwell has played 4 games this season. He's everyone's darling. He's 33% owned. He's got 15 points for 5.8 million now across the 4 games. Morris has played 3 and got 15 points. So I kind of think if you compare price to price, and looking at those fixtures as well, he doesn't seem like much of an investment for what is a good run of fixtures and a double game week in there. I don't know. What do you think? Maybe I'm hyping him up. Not hyping him up too much, but I'm trying to be real.
I considered him at the start of the season, just in the first drafts. I put him in my team because I just thought he was, he's the nailed-on player, pen taker, captain or whatever. Or I think Lockie is captain, isn't he?
Yeah.
Anyway, Yeah, I think he is a good price, and he's just going to be nailed on, and they're going to score goals, and he has been involved in 100% goal involvement in their goals, I think. So, yeah, it's just like, why not punt on that? Fulham's defense is like the worst in the league at the moment, and Wolves is
second
pretty bad
worst,
too.
I think. I think Wolves second worst, and then Burnley and Everton also in like the bottom 8 for XGC.
Exactly. So, yeah.
If you're gonna punt on him, I think now maybe is the time to do it.
I think I think I don't see any reason why not, really. So I've got Jackson, and I'll probably just go down to Morris for the double, because I'm happy to keep Jackson for now. Yeah. But for the double, I'll probably just do that and just run with it, see what happens.
No, fair enough. All right. Well, I don't think there's too much more to say on him. I'll talk about him when we go to the team. Really,
he's just a relatively like painless punt.
That's
like,
what I thought.
Really, like, he's 5.5 million. If he screws up, then so what? Like, just sell him again. Like. Yeah,
exactly. I feel like he's low risk punt, and when paired with like someone else like Archer, like their run of fixtures is not bad, and like we're happy to pay 5.5 million for Chilwell as like I said, as an example, because I think he's someone that's definitely not worth the money at the moment, and he's had a pretty poor start to the season in games you would expect him to have done better in, especially like Luton. He got massively outscored by your mate Gusto, and then in the game against Forest we're banking on a cleaner, and he's got a yellow card and subbed at 60 again. So I think at least with Morris he's got like a higher upside, especially given these fixtures, and this is who they need to beat to win.
Yeah, and Frode has just said in the chat, like, if you've got João Pedro, Morris seems like a decent punt to take. If not for now, then the double as well.
No, absolutely agree. Cool. All right. Who do we want to jump on and talk about now? We talked a little bit of strikers.
Luton, I'll just talk about the defence a little bit. It's a bit of a punty sort of thing here as well, but obviously Bell, I think, is the only one who's played all the minutes so far. Kabore, who I have as my bench fodder, who has been benched the last game and has only just passed 60 minutes in a couple of them as well. So a bit of a risky there. But I feel like he has been one of the best players when he's actually been on the pitch.
He's looked a beast.
And then Lockyer, who I think missed the last game. I'm not even sure why. But he's been playing most of the 90s. As we've discussed, they are top of the fixture ticker for easiest fixture difficulty. Obviously, they've got that double game week, and then they got that Everton and Burnley game in the double. Fulham at home as well. Fulham away, sorry. Wolves at home. They are the 6th worst defence at the moment. They've got an XGC of 8.3, whereas Fulham, who obviously got 11.7, so much worse. Burnley, compared to, who also have the double, have got 7.6. They're 10th for shots conceded of 55. So Sheffield United comparison of 86 shots conceded. Wow. Bournemouth 80. And Man United have conceded 66.
Love that.
So 55 shots conceded. That's not too bad. 13 big chances conceded as well, which is 6th worst. So they aren't the worst, is what I've got here. So there is kind of a little bit of hope. So if you do have a Kabore or a Bell or whatever, in that double, would you sort of punt on them? I'd put them in. I don't know. I still think it's sort of risky, but you could end up on 2 points. You could end up on 4 out of 6. I don't know.
I think you've always got to gamble on the upside of a player in a double game week. Like if there's just that extra or the double amount of time to potentially do something or get a clean sheet or a goal surely makes them a better punt. So no, I agree with you. If you're going to get rid of Jackson, I think it would be to get on him or the Burnley striker. Is it Foster? For a punt, even though they've got easier fixtures.
I was going to say the Everton fixture. Everton had 59 shots, which is mid-table, and an XG of 8.45, which is actually only just behind Spurs. So Everton's XG has been good. They've actually got a good few pieces in that team with that better guy that's come in. Dan Juma's looking good. So they're actually looking a bit more sort of attacking prowess, but they just need to finish balls, really. But Burnley have had only 31 shots, which is the lowest of every team, and an XG of 2.31. So the Burnley game looks like the better clean sheet chance. So there's probably like one clean sheet there, maybe at best, I would say.
No, I don't mind him for this run of fixtures, and I think
possibly even the goalkeeper as well on wildcard Kaminsky.
Yeah, might not be too bad. Is he? Is he 4.5?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. It could be one to go for. I feel like they've just been like dragged through the mud a little bit just because they've lost their first 3 games, but they've played like tough teams. This run of fixtures now, like we've seen in previous, and same with Sheffield United to an extent, but we've seen in previous seasons like how teams that come up can come up and stay up, and I think they've probably got a bit of a rough draw to start the season, but now is really going to find out how good they are. And like you say, the players are inexpensive. Don't think I'd start any of them at the moment, like from a defensive point of view, outside the double game week. But it's good to know it's there.
Yeah, it's just finding which one is definitely nailed on as well. I think Bell is probably the best one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. All right, who do we want to? Do we want to touch on Maddison and then maybe lead into Chelsea a little bit?
Yeah, so Maddison, obviously we were talking about Spurs earlier, but yeah, Maddison, 27% owned now, probably going to keep going up with this fixture this weekend, obviously. Joint third highest scorer in the game, 29 points behind Haaland and Mbeumo and Bowen, or joint with Bowen. Only blanked once with 9, 3, 10 and 7.
Yeah.
Obviously at home to Sheffield United, who are the fourth worst defence in an XGC of 8.9, and they've with 7 conceded in 4 games, so that's not great for them. Spurs have scored 11 in 4, which is second most overall. Team XG of 8.61, and he's involved in everything: set pieces, corners, talisman. So yeah, seems to be like a no-brainer to pick up at the moment. The fixtures after the Liverpool ones are Fulham, Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Wolves, Aston Villa, so they're good as well. The next 2 are obviously tough in the Liverpool and Arsenal as well, but yeah, he's blanked in his only other game against the top 6 sides so far. Obviously, that's a small sample size, but maybe a worrying sign that he's maybe not fixture-proof.
Yeah.
2 goals, 2 assists so far, 13 shots, which is 7th, and XG of 2.05, XA of 1.46. 2 big chances, 10 key passes, 2 big chances created. So he's good on both sides of assists and attacking goals. But he's actually around 5th to 7th for most attacking metrics. So he's not excelling in one area.
Right.
And he's being beaten on key passes, big chances created, XG, all that sort of stuff by Saka, Salah, Eze, Bruno, all those sort of people. So perhaps it's a little bit of an overhype from us creators, all those sort of people. His stats aren't that amazing. So just from I found on X or Twitter or whatever, FPL Myth, who did a little comparison of what his record is for versus promoted teams in Premier League. So in 21-22, he had 2 goals versus Brentford, 2 goals versus and 4 assists versus Watford over the 2 games, and 1 goal versus Norwich. And then in 22-23, he had 2 goals and 1 assist versus Forest, 1 goal, 1 assist versus Fulham, and a blank versus Bournemouth. And then the Forest and Fulham games, he only played them once because he was injured, I think, so across the season. So over 10 games, he had 8 goals, 6 assists. And obviously now he's in a better team, a more attacking team. So he likes to bully the promoted teams. So this week, if you are thinking about a possible Haaland not captaincy shout, then maybe Maddison / Son is somewhere to just if you are feeling Maverick. So yeah, he's got a good record against these crappy teams.
I like it. I didn't expect him to be such a flat track bully. Yeah, no, those are good stats. I've had I was really obviously keen to get Maddison like you were before game week 4, and to be honest, he's posting up the sort of numbers that I was hoping and expecting Bruno, or I say not numbers, returns that Bruno was expecting to get, and obviously he's doing it for now it's something like 0.5 or 0.6 million cheaper, and I've got no, even through those fixtures, like I mentioned, wouldn't want double Spurs, but I'm happy to roll Maddison through Arsenal and Liverpool, and because on the other side he's going to come out of that. And Spurs are great this season because they're out of the cup and they're not doing anything in Europe. They've just got a clean run for him to be involved in everything. So I think he was probably a little bit underpriced at the start of the season, and now he's shot up because of that. So I'm just a bit disappointed didn't get on him earlier, really.
I guess we just didn't know exactly what his role would be, and if he'd definitely be nailed on. But they're looking good, or especially without Kane.
I was going to say without that
too, so.
No, I think there's ways to invest in all of their team. Like Udogie is someone I've got in on the wildcard now because they just look at attacking from wing back with him and Porro. It's difficult sort of to choose between them a little bit.
His numbers haven't been that great, and his 2 assists have been just like passes into midfield for 2 really good goals. So I feel like he's been quite lucky. Porro wise, you get to.
Well, I was just all I was going to say was that really, but even though he has been lucky, he's been part of a defence that's kept 2 clean sheets in the first 4, which is like the best, and he's a cheap route into that defence, and he's a sort of playing wing back, left back role. So yeah, he seems like a good option. You're right, even though the numbers aren't necessarily there, that he was getting forward a lot in pre-season and looked good then as well. So
he's been slightly unlucky not to score as well. He's had a few good shots as well. So just on Porro, the other win back, 5 million, 5.3% owned, 7 shots, which is his first of all defenders, 2 big chances created, which is second of all defenders, and an XA of 0.09, which is second of all defenders. So he's caught my eye, passed the eye test on the field, lots of shots, unlucky to not score. I think he's hit the woodwork twice, as far as I know. So to me, he's passing the eye test, as I said, in this Ange ball system or whatever. Appears to have won the position over Royale. He's pretty bad defensively, but they are keeping clean sheets. So he's possibly one to consider if you want to spend a slight bit more, lower owned, and possibly more upside. Well, probably more upside for the goal threat. So
do you think he's worth that 0.3 million more than you Dogu? Or would you err on the side of caution?
Udogi's ownership?
I think it's probably high. I can have a look.
It's 14.5. Yeah, I think he might be. To be honest, I feel like he's just seems to be getting into more threatening positions. I feel like so, and his XA numbers are higher. His XG is higher. Way more shots. So yeah, possibly.
Interesting. Okay. I can't say he's someone I've really strongly considered just purely from a price point of view and trying to work my team. But yeah, maybe I need to give him more of a look.
Are you really concerned by price if you're going Morris?
Well, it's honestly trying to fit Salah in and make the rest of the team quite balanced, which I'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, he's probably not. He makes it like that. The extra 0.3 million kick, it all counts. Making it that value. All right. Let's just jump on. I just wanted to quickly pick your brain on Chelsea and also see what other people think in the chat. So they've still got this good run of fixtures. I've been looking, like I mentioned previously a few times, I've been looking at Chilwell. You've obviously got Jackson, and so many people lumped in on Sterling ahead of game week 4. They've all got fairly high ownership. So Chilwell 33%, Sterling 16%, Jackson 18%. So I thought I'd just have a bit of a deeper dive and look at it because that game against Nottingham Forest was so disappointing. We all had a lot riding on it. You and I both had double defence. Loads of people had, like I say, Sterling brought in for that one as well, and Jackson fluffed that chance from 5 yards out, near the end of the game, which would have been a Sterling assist for him. So, yeah, I think at the end of game week 4, I had a bit of a sour taste in my mouth about Chelsea, but maybe I've just been I don't know, hating them on them unrealistically. So I thought I'd have a look at their stats. So bear in mind, they've had, after their first 4 games, 3 of those have been at home on, obviously, Nottingham Forest, Liverpool and Luton. So they've had, I'd say, 2 out of 3 good fixtures at home. And obviously that West Ham away game. So their stats are okay. The XG of 8.1, that's 7th best of all teams, but over sort of a quarter of that came in that game against Luton, so really they sort of bump their numbers up there. The XGC is quite good though. On the other hand, 4.2 expected goals conceded is actually the 4th best of all teams in the league. So I think the numbers, especially on the defensive side, point to a team either worth investing in, especially for the fixtures Bournemouth, Villa, Fulham, Burnley, which they've got coming up. It gets a little bit trickier after that with home games against Arsenal and Brentford, who I think probably score against them. But Bournemouth, who they've got up next, they're the 3rd worst for expected goals conceded since the start of the season. Aston Villa after that, the 5th worst. Although I've got rid of Jackson, I think probably based on how he's been sort of underlying numbers wise, it's probably worth holding him, Sterling and Chilwell based on this. But I kind of think just because they're not clinical, another loss or defeat against Bournemouth ahead of a home game against Villa, I could see people jumping off them loads. And like I say, Chilwell's been like a massive ticking point for me because he costs a hell of a lot of money in a team that haven't looked that sort of. Even though, like I say, the numbers are good, I would say they not look that assured defensively. He's getting subbed at the 60th minute most of the times with a yellow card. I don't know. Where do you come down on Chelsea assets? You own 3 of them at the minute.
I think obviously Gusto's life is expectancy is short on life, but it's especially in my team. But I feel like James maybe doesn't start this week. I mean, that's maybe wishful thinking, and Gusto has played well, so maybe he gets just one more week. So I'm thinking of possibly rolling there. It's tough because I don't see this Bournemouth away fixture as really a clean sheet. But then it could be. The Bournemouth aren't that good, so but Bournemouth at home with Chelsea sort of double defense doesn't feel great. But
no. I don't think double defense feels good for it. I mean, I know, like you say, he's going to be back by then. Apart from that Luton game, which was just like, I don't know, lucky for both of us that we had like that Shaw injury the night before and didn't want to use a transfer on it. We sort of lucked into a double defense that day, but I don't think it's something to pursue.
No, it's not. Chilwell wise, slightly worried about his sort of minutes, but I think was it did Mudryk get injured or something like that? Or maybe I'm no, actually no, he played versus England, didn't he? So he must be fine. But yeah, Chilwell keeps sort of coming off at the 60-ish minute mark. He's obviously going to one day get a 59-minute subbed.
Oh, right.
Possibly a clean sheet too. So there's just the worry of that 59-minute sub as well, because it's been on the line every time. Just he's like, his returns have not been that good, but again, like he went through that like one-on-one with the keeper where he should have shot. He tried to pass. He should have scored there. There's been a few others from Jackson as well, missing assists from him. Like, he has the potential, or has had the potential for way bigger points than he has gotten. So this could be one of those games where it just like, it feels like everyone's down on him and he just sort of returns quite big this week. So I'm still happy to hold him, especially for the next like 4, and then after that look somewhere else possibly. Jackson, I'm happy to keep him. Like, his big chances are 7, with the same as Haaland this season so far. Obviously, he's not been that clinical, but I feel like they're going to come. The goals are going to come, and I hope and pray that it's this week. Because like you said, I can see people jumping ship quite quickly if he blanks this week. The Morris sort of transfer is there, the Alvarez transfer is there, so I probably will end up doing that if he does blank this week. So it's 1 goal for Jackson versus like 6 for Haaland, with the same amount of big chances, 10 versus 39 points. So
and he absolutely loves the yellow card as well, which is so annoying.
It is annoying. Chilwell too. Frustrated. But I'm willing to just gamble with him for at least this week and just see how it goes. Yeah,
absolutely. All right. Is there any more you want to add before we just sort of talk about our teams, just as we head into game week 5?
Yeah, let's just go into the teams.
All right. Yeah. Do you want to talk about yours first and your thinking?
Sure. So I currently have Turner in goal over Flecken. I think Turner's not going to be the first choice for very much longer. So if you're on wildcard, I probably wouldn't be picking him. Just pick up Areola. Makes total sense. So Flecken may end up just coming in anyway, so I think it doesn't really matter. But Burnley at home feels like a good fixture for Forest. Their defense has been all right. Obviously, they kept a clean sheet against Chelsea, which is good. So happy to go there, I think, especially with Flecken against Newcastle away. I currently have Chilwell and Gusto. I have Gusto ahead of Estepinian at the moment, which feels risky again. But I don't know. What's your opinion on that? Do you think I should play Este?
I think probably. Yeah, I can't. Like I say, I kind of think Brighton are gonna score against United, and like I said earlier, they've not scored more than 1 goal in any of their first 4 games. Don't know. And I think I read a stat today that no Man United player has scored a goal against Brighton in their last 4 games, because the only goal was an own goal or something like that, or last 3 games.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Because I think United beat them on penalties in the semi-final of the FA Cup. And last season, McAllister scored in a pen and they won 1-0. And then at the start of the season, Gross got 2 goals against them at Old Trafford. So, yeah, don't think it's something like they haven't scored an open play goal in 3 games against Brighton.
Fair. Okay, so I probably will start Estepinian instead of Gusto. And then I think, the rest is Udogie against Sheffield United at home. Odegaard and Saka against Everton away, which is nice. Rashford and Bruno against Brighton, obviously at home. I hope they at least score. I got the double up. So Maddison as well. And then Haaland captain at the moment with Jackson. I got the vice on Maddison, so it's tempting, but I think I'll just stick with Haaland just because I don't have Salah / Son. So, yeah.
And I think you've got your your sleeper pick of Odegaard, who's been like quietly doing work and doesn't seem to really be much talked about.
Yeah, I guess I've been fortunate, I suppose. He's obviously had 2 blanks, 2 returns. So I just hopefully he can just keep ticking along. I just haven't had a reason to sell him yet.
Yeah.
He could be one that could go to Son because I've got 0.7 in the bank, so I could just instantly get him as well. But I like the Everton away fixtures, so fine with that.
What are you going to do with your transfer this week? Sorry,
I think I'm just going to roll.
Okay.
Yeah, I was looking at Gusto to Botman and playing Botman, but obviously against Brentford at home, and obviously he's got good fixtures. But it was just because I wasn't keen on Gusto, and I assumed James would be back, but I feel like James may not be back this week.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to bench Gusto anyway, I can just roll it, play Estepinian, and have 2 free chances next week to deal with Gusto and Kabore, and because I need a little bit of bench cover.
But yeah. Have you thought any about what time to wildcard yet, or are you just? I mean, not that your team really needs it.
9/10. Just for that sort of fixture turn. I think it's Liverpool's fixtures are really good there. I think Spurs are good there.
Yeah, they are.
So I haven't fully looked into it that much, but there's a few swings.
Cool. All right. Well, should we jump on and talk about what you probably haven't seen? I'll read it all out. So this is where I am at the moment. I'll read through it. So it's dirt cheap at the back. We've got Areola and Turner. Like you say, I'm not convinced that Turner's going to keep his position, but
he shouldn't do. Benfica's starting keeper for the last 3-4 seasons, played in the Champions League and everything. He should be well ahead of Turner.
Yeah. I just think, at the moment, like I said, trying to fit in all the players, I just think Areola looks like first choice, and in previous seasons I've stuck with one goalkeeper, I had bench fodder, so it's dirt cheap. So at the back, Chilwell, Udogie, Cash. At the moment, Botman and Bell. I'll talk about Botman in a minute because he's got that flag. Midfield, Saka, Mwembo, Rashford, Maddison, Salah, and then up front, Haaland, Morris, and Archer. So I've actually made 8 changes from my team. So I think it's been worth doing, mainly to sort out my defence, which was the main thing because I had 3 non-playing players, and Archer in has just tidied up that move. And to be honest, when I was looking at the options, I don't think there's too many different players who I'd get in on the game week 8 or 9 wildcard, because people are obviously looking towards Salah, and I think his fixtures are quite good from now, really. And I know he's expensive, and we talked about this loads at the start of the season, but how he's just sort of ticked along whilst he's not exploded yet. I think in any of those games we've talked about how close he is to hauling. Like in the Chelsea game, he's hitting crossbars and other teammates are missing chances. I don't know. There's something like this. The safety blanket of having Salah is nice again.
I feel like you should probably captain him this week,
I'm really considering it. Yeah, I think the Wolves are not playing well at the moment, and it could be. It's such an annoyance that it's like the first game of the weekend. If he blanks in the first game of the weekend, it's such a and then Haaland's still going to play. It'd be awful. So, but I have been considering it. So, I think the main. I'll talk about the main things of the wild card. Obviously, I think as soon as you have Salah on your team, the rest of it suffers. But I'm quite happy with Morris. For quite a long time, I've had the main 2 players who I can swap out easily are Botman and Rashford. So for quite a long time, that has just been I've kept a Stupinan. And I've had Bruno because I can afford that. I just think probably if I was going to compare those 2, I probably do prefer keeping Estupiñán and Bruno.
Yeah, I think that's probably wise. Estupiñán looks so good attacking wise, and Udogie, as we've talked about, does rotate with him really well. So I think it's probably better.
And I think and the more like I like the idea of Rashford's explosiveness, but I just don't like how much money he is this season for what he's given so far. Like I had a couple of drafts where I've just not had any United cover and had Diaby in there, and it's just meant I could have like Alvarez up front. So yeah, I'm not sold to. I'm not like really tied to keeping a United player, even despite their good fixtures, because I just don't think they're worth it yet. So no, more than likely this will probably go back to having Estupiñán and Bruno, and I think that gives me quite like a nice team. It's giving me like 4 or 5 penalty takers in the side, and the money isn't too spread around, if that makes sense. So like it's easy to get. I think the main worry is that Morris isn't that good, but for 5.5 million, like we've talked about, he's like a small investment when not many other strikers are doing much better at the moment.
You'd play Morris this week, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think I'd play. I had a look at forward planning, and I think I pretty much play Morris every game week until like game week 8.
Archer looked good last week though. He could easily score against Spurs possibly.
And I think he's underpriced there. So yeah, I don't mind having those two as rotatable options and just sticking with the 3-5-2. And I think Estupiñán. I've basically tried to make sure I've got like vaguely attacking wing backs in Chilwell, what will be Estupiñán, Cash, Udogie, and then Bell is just like the banker 4 million who's going to start most games.
Yep.
I don't know. What do you think? Because I haven't spent
looks good to me.
2 weeks looking at it.
Yeah, just the Botman, who obviously you said you're probably going to change anyway.
Yeah.
And then Turner is possibly going to lose his space, but yeah, I guess how much in the bank have you got in this one?
In this one, it's like 0.1. So I think with Estupiñán back and Bruno in, I have like maybe 0.1. So no wiggle room.
It worry if Archer and Morris start to do nothing at all.
Yeah.
And you've got maybe one playing. I guess you could play 4-5-1 some weeks as well if you wanted. Because if you've got Estupiñán in there, could work. Well, I think Cash has been playing left wing as well, hasn't he? So I don't know if that could continue, but he has been playing left wing. So you've got another OOP player there.
I think just looking at the team, I just feel like if I need to make any sacrifices, I'd rather sacrifice Rashford from that like midline of players. I just think his price compared to everyone else is too high. Like I don't know. I'm just more convinced. And I know we talked about how good Rashford was last season compared to Salah, but I think what I've missed is just Salah's consistency, and for the extra money, it's probably worth having, even if I'm not going to captain him every week.
Yeah, I'm pretty jealous of owning Salah right now. So,
like, I don't see anything like to like. I know he hasn't been ripping up like trees this season in double digits, but it'll come because it always does.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing that like. Obviously, there is the Sheffield United home game, and you aren't going Son on the wildcard, which is everybody seems to be clamoring for.
Yeah.
But as you've said, like it's just a wait and see of if he's going to stay there. I suppose.
Yeah.
You could probably, if you have that bit of money, if you
I could probably Bruno,
get Son in instead there.
I was going to say I could probably do Son for this game week and then move to Bruno after this game week, which could be an option.
That makes total sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. It probably does. I just I
don't have Estupiñán.
Yeah, but then I don't know if I'm going to get any other injuries. I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit too cautious about it, but I don't know. The one I definitely want to have is Salah. I think before everyone's talking about having him on a game week 8 wildcard, I feel like fixtures against Wolves, West Ham, Tottenham, and Brighton are good for him. And to be honest, any fixture in the past has been good for him. So. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if by come game week 8 he is like the top scoring midfielder. So, yeah.
Yeah, I may end up just getting jealous and then wildcard before game week 9/10. So yeah, we'll see.
We'll see how that goes. Cool. All right. Any more to chit chat about?
No, I think we're good.
I think we're good as well. All right. Well, thanks. I suppose just really briefly on captaincy. Then it sounds like you're on Haaland.
Yeah, I don't think I have a better choice this week, so yeah, I think I'll just stick with him.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think I'll probably, I'll probably stick on Haaland as well. But See if I get any funny feelings about Salah before the start of the game week.
I think if I was you, I'd go Salah.
Oh, Kieran. We'll see.
But it is the early kickoff.
It is the early
As
kickoff.
Andy says, don't back the early kickoff.
I know, I hate it.
Yeah.
All right, thanks everyone for joining us. Good luck this game week, and we'll see you next. Enjoy.
Yeah.